Hey knitters, welcome back to Rena Knits. In this week's video, we're going to be learning a new pattern, a knot pattern, K-N-O-T. It's a knot, it looks like a knot that's being created each time. It's a simple pattern with 9 stitches for the particular pattern itself. So have a look and try it out and let me know what you think. To make this particular pattern, a pattern that looks like knots that you're creating, or a chain, what you need is needles, yarn, but an extra needle, or a stitch holder for the middle portion. This particular pattern requires 9 stitches. 9 stitches is only for the pattern itself. What I've done on other end is added extra 4 stitches. So altogether I have 8 extra stitches and then 9 in the middle for the pattern. So 17 stitches that I'm working with. Now you can also decrease the number of stitches on either end to leave a certain amount of space if you're going to do this pattern one after the others sequentially. This just gives enough room so that they don't overlap themselves. Now, to begin with this pattern, once you've cast on your number of stitches, so 9 for sure, and then other stitches on other end, what I've done is I've made it a knit pattern on this side. So then this portion of it is stockinette pattern. So that way then you could see stockinette. So that way that you could see the pattern itself more clearly. So for the first 10 rows, what you will do is the following. So for the first 4 stitches, you would just knit. Actually, the right side, you would knit all the way through. Then, row 2, or the wrong side, what you will do is knit 4. You will then purl 9, and again the last 4 stitches you will knit, and you will continue this pattern of 2 rows for 10 rows in total. So you will eventually see 5 of these here, so that would be your 10 rows. Here you could see that I have knit 10 rows. Now one way to tell that you've knit 10 rows, a little trick, is count these. So 2, 2, 4, 5. So that's how you know you've done 10, because it takes 2 rows, front and back, to create one of these. So that's where you know you don't 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You've done 10 rows. So what now you will do is the actual pattern to get this part. So you will knit 4. Then for the actual pattern portion of it, you will knit 6. You will then turn your project around and you will slip 1 and purl 2. you will then turn it around again. You will slip one and purl two and knit two, and you will keep doing this. Flip your project around, slip one and purl two 8 times. So I've done this twice now, and I'm going to do it another 6 times. Now this is my last row that I'm going to be knitting, and where you want to end up is finishing up this right here, and this is where you want to end up. So you will have done 8 rows. Another way to know you've done 8 is by adding all of these, and they should be 16. So what you would do now is take your extra needle that you had or stitch marker, you would remove these stitches, these 3, and put them in here. So just basically get them away from the actual needles you're working with and put them in the front. Then you would slip these 3 onto this needle. Now here you could take another stitch marker if you want, or you could just do it the way I'm doing it here. You would take the 3 stitches behind these 3 and move them onto this needle. Remove all of these stitches and take these stitches back onto this needle. So you're basically switching their position. So you're taking the 3 stitches that were on here, moving them here, and the 3 on here, moving them here, so that you have a crisscross like this. Then you would take these 3 that you had on this stitch marker or an extra needle and put them back right here. Make sure your yarn is in the right place, right there. I just removed this, so I'm going to just stitch this, knit this back. Now you would continue knitting. So you would knit these 3 right here, and then the remaining 4. And then you would turn around, and your last row for this pattern, you will do the same as you've been doing, where you knit 4, you purl 9, and you knit the last 4. And this is where you'll end up. You'll end up right here. And now, again, you will do the 10 stitches, the 10 rows of knit 4, row 1 would be all knit, and row 2 would be knit 4, purl 9, knit 4. You will do those 2 rows 10 times before you begin this again. And you will continue this until you get your pattern, your chain pattern. Now, if you want to make a few changes, you can to the pattern. If you don't want this much space between the loops, you want it increase, or you could do is, rather than knitting 10, you could knit 12 or 14, so you get greater space between your knots. You could decrease it, but I wouldn't recommend decreasing more than 2. So if you don't want the 10 stitches, you could 10 rows, you could knit 8 and then do the loop. because if it gets too close, it'll get too tight, and they will start intertwining with each other, and your project itself might start folding up or down depending on how much space you have here. So you could go anywhere between 8 and 14 or 16 to get your space here. The other thing is I have 4 here on either side. You could decrease this to 2 if you want the chain pattern, the knot pattern, to be sequential in that way.
If you like this video, don't forget to click that like button, and if you're new, welcome. Don't forget to click that subscribe button to get the latest videos on knitting projects, knitting products, knitting patterns, and much more. Relax, enjoy, and keep knitting.